So I've had Pokemon Moon for about a week now, and I thought it would be a good idea to talk about it while it's still relevant and share my thoughts. And so here's my first impression. Okay, things I like about this game. It has a story that's different for a Pokemon game. I mean, it's not like Pokemon games don't have stories, but it's rare that they have a lot of emphasis on it. It's both a blessing and a curse. I tend to like stories in games, so it's at least different for me. I'll talk about how it's a curse later, but I'll get to that after I'm done with what I like. Okay, second thing I like, it subverts a lot of the formula we'd come to expect in Pokemon. This is mostly to share my ideas on, say, you're debating whether or not to get this game or not. The thing about this game is, I would not describe it as just another Pokemon game. If you're a fan of the series, you know there's a formula we're used to. There's 8 gym leaders in basically Elite Four at the end, and that's then face the champion. That's the end of the game, and that is not in this game, which is different. Obviously, again for Pokemon, I kind of wish, because it's different. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking, but because it's different, I wish they slowly subverted their formula a little bit each game. Just in general, I think that would have improved a lot of the opinions of Pokemon that it's just the same game every time. I mean, really, all Nintendo games could stand to go for that, but that doesn't always happen. Anyway, so yeah, subverting the formula. Third thing, the UI. The UI is extremely user-friendly in this game. It's very helpful for newcomers to help figure out the type effectiveness and things along those lines. So one of the things this does is in battle, it keeps track of the effectiveness of your moves when you use them. I think that's very helpful for new people to help them, again, help to learn type effectiveness. It also keeps track of your stats, your buffs and debuffs. I don't know if that's the technical term for it, but it's what they call it in other RPGs, so I'm going to stick with that. But it keeps track of those things for you. And that's really helpful, because before you'd have to do that in your head. Now you can just press a button and it's right there. As far as outside of battles themselves, the UI, there's always a mini-map displayed for you, which it actually is. It's a zoomed-in mini-map too. It's not just a world map. That's not really needed, but the mini-map really helps a lot, and it has objective markers, so it tells you where to go next. Now, again, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, because maybe you want a more open world, I'll get there when I get there experience, but at least you know where to go next if you want to actually complete the main story. Okay, so those are the main 3 things. There's some other things too, like the day and night feature. This is something that I think will confuse a lot of people if you have Moon. This is not an issue in Sun, it's only an issue in Moon. But in Moon, they reverse the times that you're playing the game in time. What I mean by that is, say in previous Pokemon games, if you played the game during the day, it would be daytime in game, and night. If you played at night, it would be the same thing at night. In Moon, they reversed those. So if you're playing during the day, it will be at night in game, and vice versa. So I can see that as being a potential leading to potential confusion, especially for newcomers, because if they come in and play the game during the nighttime, they may not necessarily know that nighttime affects which Pokemon are available, whether it affects evolutions or not. That might throw them off a little bit. I mean, I personally thought there was something wrong with my clock when I did, but I checked the time. No, the time is correct with the 3DS time. Yeah. Okay, so things I don't like. There's the thing about Hau in this game. Your rival in this game is Hau, and he's just another friendly rival. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the rivals being friendly, but the thing with the first couple games, your rival would always try to one-up you. You know, that, like, as you expect a rival to do. I have no problem with having a friendly rival, but I want there to still be rivalry from my rival, if that makes sense. I don't have a problem with Hau as a character, but he kind of he doesn't seem like he has any urge to constantly get better, aside from what Kukui or Kukui, yeah, however his name is pronounced, what he says. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention another thing I like. If they sort of replaced the Pokemon Ami feature that was in Gen 6 with they have a care system, which I'm okay. I do like. I'm okay with that. And the main thing it's useful. The main reason I like it is its main use is getting rid of status elements, which poison is incredibly annoying, regardless of which game you're in. So if you can just get rid of that right away, that's a great feature, or it's at least a very helpful feature. Now this is the problem I have as far as the story goes, and why I think the story also is a downside. I didn't think it was possible to break up the pace of a turn-based RPG. I find those games inherently slow. It's not like a real-time RPG, or I guess if that's the proper term, or an action RPG where you're always fighting something, or even if it's sort of a Chrono Trigger or Xenoblade style combat system where you constantly have to select items. There's no real waiting in that. You're constantly under threat. There's the pacing is always constantly going. In this case, I don't think that should be an issue, but it is. The story, there's a lot of cutscenes, and it really breaks up what the action is. And again, that's just weird to me. Anyway, those are the really only downsides I can really think of at this point. Now, as far as whether this game is worth playing or not, if you're a newcomer to the series, I would not recommend getting this game. This is not a good gateway game to the series. I would recommend instead getting X or Y or Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, one of those games, which if you have a 3DS, you would need a 3DS to get Moon anyway, so if you have a 3DS, you can just go ahead and get those games instead, or you can play those first and then come to this game, because, like I said, this subverts the formula a lot, whereas those games follow the formula to a T, almost to a T. In fact, X and Y got a lot of complaints because they were one of the main complaints is they were too plain, too ordinary. They stuck to a formula and they didn't change it whatsoever. So I would say play those first just to get a feel for the formula, and then come to this game. It'll also help get used to type effectiveness to some extent, to know what you're getting into, because in this particular game, the Alola forms have different types from what they are usually. Like, for example, in this game, Rattata is a dark normal, which typically he's just a normal. I would recommend just playing one of those games first, or even any of the older games. If you don't have a 3DS, it doesn't matter. Just get one of the older ones. Get Fire Red or something. Those would be particularly good to get. Now, as far as whether this game is good to come to, if you're not new to the series, if you've been a fan for a long time, this, in my opinion, is the best game I've played in the series because of how unique it is. I know that's an arbitrary reason to say something is the best, but it doesn't feel like the same thing over again, whereas X and Y did. I know Gen 5 got a lot of praise because it basically deconstructed its own game series. That was different, but it's another thing to have the mechanics themselves, or not the mechanics themselves, but have the formula itself change. That's what I think makes this game so much better. So if you're apprehensive to get this game because you didn't want another Pokemon game that's just the same thing over and over again, this is a good game. I recommend it. Okay, I think that will cover my first impression of it. Right now, I'm on my way to as far as where I am in the game, I'm on my way to the second Kahuna, which I got kind of delayed in. The problem is I have to balance my time because I also have SMT Apocalypse just came in, and I'm trying to balance my time between those two games. So, hopefully I can do a full review when I finish the game. I would love to do a full review of this. But until then, this is Immortal Mechanism, and I am done.